Hi, I'm Mike,
And I'm Erin.
and this is another live version of our live session. I feel like we're unplugged. And half people probably don't even remember that.
I remember Unplugged.
You really? I remember watching Nirvana Unplugged. Now I see kids wearing Nirvana shirts that probably don't even know who Nirvana is. So there's that. Anyway, we're back here with another live ranch talk. This time getting a chance to sit down and talk about what? Things we love and hate. That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's sometimes there's things on the ranch that are a love-hate relationship. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
Right, exactly. And we can always start in Wyoming anyway with the weather.
Oh, Mackenzie wants to say hi.
Oh.
Hi.
You got to scooch over here just a little bit further. There we go.
Hi.
This is Mackenzie. She's our oldest. She's 6, going on
13,
which is every parent's joke.
I'm in first grade too.
Okay, go watch your show.
And this is Grace. Can you say hi?
Hi.
That's about all we're going to get out of her. All right, you're going to go watch your show? Okay.
Okay, take Lexi with you.
Take the dog. Okay. So anyway, like we were saying, we can always start with what we don't like and actually what we do like. If you look at both sides of it, but the weather in Wyoming
Sucks.
at times. The summer times aren't horrible. Summer's not bad. I don't mind summer.
Yeah, weather does suck here. It's I don't know how. I've lived here most of my life, so I mean it's just kind of my normal. Lexi, go lay down. The dog wants to say hi. It's windy. It's dry. We get huge temperature changes. It'll be 90 degrees one day, and it can be 40 degrees the next day. That's pretty common actually for us.
Yeah. Well, just like in the last video that we put out, we had 77 degrees, and then 3 days later, actually the next day, it was like down in the 30s.
Yeah.
So it's not unheard of. And another comment that we got quite a bit was what happened to fall. And there is none. We don't really have a fall here.
Let's say we get spring more often than we get fall. But spring happens more often, but spring can be the same way too. We can get 2 feet of snow in April or even in May, and the next day it's in the 80s and everything's flooding. So
right, and that's the other thing about winter here is that we do get a lot of snow, but also we get warm temperatures. So it'll snow, it'll be minus 10, 15 degrees for a week, and then we'll get a week of 40, 50 degree weather. So then everything melts and
we have ice.
Right.
And we have a lot of ice.
Yeah. And it melts, so then it makes everything muddy.
Yeah.
So then we get mud.
And then it freezes.
And then it freezes that night, so then we get ice. And that's pretty common.
Yeah.
Actually around here. So
let's see, any questions?
Mike and Mrs. Mike. I forgot about that. Yeah.
I like Mrs. Mike. That's nice.
Yeah, exactly. Did you want to? So we're going to try to kind of bounce back and forth here, and we're going to invite you guys to talk about where you're from and what you love and hate about where you're from, because it's probably the same things. I mean, you hear I had somebody comment this last week about Texas, and if you don't like the weather in Texas, wait 10 minutes. I have lived all over the place, and I've heard that same thing no matter where you're at.
Everywhere, yeah.
So, whether it's, the weather is what it is, and that's kind of, we talk about it every once in a while about how if we had a choice of where we would ranch, if we could pick up the ranch and put it anywhere we want, would we go somewhere else? And it's one of those trade-off things that we could go somewhere else, but you're going to run into the same problems no matter where you go. It'd be really nice to have some irrigated hay ground. That would be beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah. So does that are you in the same boat with that? I
mean, water is our biggest ranching obstacle and gardening obstacle. So if we could have a little bit more water, but we have years. I mean, this year and last year was a drought, but we have years sometimes. We had 8 inches of rain one year in May, and my garden's flooded. Like I had
everything flooded.
I had stuff planted, and it flooded. So it's just so up and down. I saw a thing today that winter in Wyoming is going to be wet and windy. So
they could just write that down all the
Yeah.
time. And the wind thing, they could just leave. And that's the other thing about here is the wind. So
yeah.
We're going to try to bounce back and forth here a little bit. We're going to try to answer some questions as we're going, and then we'll kind of get back into
Yeah,
it. Does
so
that
make sure
sense?
you comment and ask us questions, and
And feel free to comment about your weather as well, because it's always interesting for me to find out what other people have to deal with. Being from Montana, it's the Montana weather's not really that much different from here, but as I've been around the world, I was in some places where it's 120 degrees, all the time.
Yeah, we don't get that hot. Thank
Right,
goodness.
exactly. So let's take a really quick look. What's the coldest it's gotten in the winter here?
Oh gosh.
I don't know if I've ever kept track. Actually, I have an app on my phone for that.
It gets. I mean, sometimes we get where it's 20 below, but then the wind is usually accompanied with that 20 below. So we'll see wind chills once in a great while of 50 or 60 below.
Right.
A few years ago, well, the first year that we lived in this house, so 2013, we had we moved in the house the day after Thanksgiving, and it was the day we moved in. It was gorgeous. Like, I think we had no sweat. We were moving on Thanksgiving Day. We just wore sweatshirts, unpacking stuff, running in and out of the house. Not a problem. Like 3 days later, I think it hit 25 below, and it had been in the 50s. So that's the craziness that we see here. Is like we
Is
saw.
that when my parents came and visited for
Yeah,
Thanksgiving,
so
and
we
we were
saw-
stuck inside for like.
And
a
then
week.
it was like
Yeah.
20 below the whole, like we had like a week of where it didn't get above zero. And before we got that cold snap, we had like a 70-degree change in like 12 hours.
Right.
What's your phone?
We actually have a weather station that we have set up here on the ranch, and it sends information to my phone, and then it kind of keeps track. Something screwed up though, because it says the low temperature was minus 90,
Yeah, it wasn't
which
minus
I
90.
doubt that was. But our high wind for this year was 73 miles per hour. So
Just a bit
that
breezy.
kind of gives you a good indication of our low so far for this month. The month of November has been 8 degrees.
That's not
Is our low. So that's not horrible, actually.
No,
That's
not
not bad. Our high for the month of November, though, has been 36.
It's been cold.
Yeah, it's been cold.
Yeah.
So that's a geek thing, I think. But you keep track of the weather. So yeah, the coldest temperature it's ever gotten.
I don't know.
I don't know. I bet you it's probably been
I'd say 50 below.
50 below. Yeah, I'd say that's probably pretty safe to say. And that's if it's 50 below, you've got vehicles outside. They're not going to start. You've got well, if I'm outside, I'm not going to start either. I mean, nothing works. That's kind of the and it has snowed here already. We've gotten
Couple inches.
couple
here and
inches of
there.
snow, nothing major. It's kind of it's snowed, and then like I said, it's melted off, and then
And the ground's still warm. Nothing's frozen. The ground is not frozen hard yet, so a little bit of sunshine and that snow comes off pretty easily. So
Right.
we've had some slick roads and icy driving, but
yeah, and a lot of the northern states are saying that they've gotten snow. Michigan, Southwest Michigan, snowing. Minnesota, snowing. So it's a northern state. It's not uncommon for us to have snow this time of year, and it's not uncommon for us to miss fall completely. If you blink, you can miss fall.
yeah.
The trees lose their leaves, that kind of thing. But here in this area, they don't really go through the color change as much that you see in other areas. They just kind of
Done.
just drop right off. So yeah.
All right. What can we?
Are you
answer?
reading?
I'm reading. Yeah. Hi, San Francisco. That's cool.
I drove in thunder snow in May near Gillette once. That I can believe. We've seen some weird, goofy weather. Have you ever seen thunder in the snow?
I have not.
Well,
We
lightning
had-
and snow.
Freezing fog the other day, though.
Yeah, we did have freezing fog. So
I've never seen thunder snow though.
really,
No.
it's weird. It's
Like
just
thundering and snowing.
yeah, thunder, lightning, snow. It's kind of an odd thing. I'd have to ask Corey when it was, because it might have been the same storm that I remember. I remember that happening though, and I was out in the field, and there was lightning strikes while it was snowing.
It was
Really
weird.
goofy.
We had a thunderstorm, I don't know, last month in October. Woke the kids up, and that was weird for us. It was very much a thunderstorm with lots of thunder, lots of lightning, lots of rain. And it was mid to late October when that happened, and that was strange for us.
Right.
But
right.
no, I've never seen thunder snow. We had freezing fog though the other day when I was driving to town to take Grace to preschool, and that was very annoying. It was like in the 20s, foggy.
Yeah.
There was liquid precipitation happening on my windshield and then freezing.
Yeah.
Yeah. that was fun.
rather goofy. I don't want to talk about the weather the whole
Okay.
time though, 'cause
But
that's-
it is a big crappy thing about ranching in Wyoming.
yeah, you deal with the weather. I mean, I go out and we're going to talk about it again. I go out and I feed cows, and the snow's blowing sideways, and it's like pins and needles on your face, and you know, you have to deal with that. So
Yeah.
it's just one of those things that comes with the territory. And if we could pick up the ranch and move it to Hawaii, yeah, that'd be awesome. I don't think it would work, but
I'd like an avocado tree.
yeah, but I don't know. Maybe people ranch. Do people ranch in Hawaii?
No
I'm sure
idea.
they do. Somebody probably does.
They have spam there.
They have what?
Spam. They eat a lot of spam. I don't know if there's a lot of cows in Hawaii.
I don't know. That's a darn good question. I don't even know what spam is. Do you know what spam is? It's like a mixture of ham
I don't know.
and spa. I don't know. Spa and ham. Okay. So let's see here. You think anything will come of China buying more U.S. beef? That's actually interesting.
I wish we'd bring back country of origin labeling on our beef, and that Americans could buy American beef.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen with Chinese beef. I think that we need to prioritize American beef needs to stay in America, though. And I think consumers need to know where that beef is coming from.
Yeah.
So if we could bring back country of origin labeling, that would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Lots of cows in Hawaii. See?
Oh,
Somebody
awesome.
knows, yeah.
Now we know something.
Yeah. Exactly. You learn. I learn something every time we do one of these.
Yeah.
And I like doing the live streams because it's like that instant interaction.
Yeah.
And I don't have to do any research whatsoever because I can just come in and just mouth off, and then somebody will correct me or somebody will tell me I'm right.
Yeah.
Which actually I get corrected more than anything. I don't know about you, but I get corrected a lot. In terms of starting a ranch, small farm, what would you recommend to financially prepare and get started if you live in an urban area? You know, it's tough. It just it depends on where you're looking at going, of course. Price of land, you know, make sure that you find out what's land worth.
And we've had a lot of questions in the last week from people just asking how, you know, that they want to get started in ranching, and so what do we recommend? And I just Googled it, and
See?
one thing that came up was that, you know, like half of farmers are going to retire in the next 10 years. So we're going to have a huge generational turnover in agriculture all throughout this country. It's going to be really actually a huge problem that could happen if it doesn't transition correctly. And there's not been a lot of new farmers and ranchers since the 80s, even it's declined. And so new farmers and ranchers, there's programs out there to help you get started, and they classify anybody in agriculture under 10 years as a new farmer or rancher. So there are programs to help get you started. So I would go visit with your USDA office and your Farm Services Agency.
Sorry, I read comments when you're talking, so they make me laugh.
Okay. So Farm Services and USDA can help with some of the programs that are available. But one thing I said, and it's really pretty discouraging, is that most new farmers have made high incomes in previous careers and then are transitioning into ranching. So you gotta have a lot of money.
Like Ted Turner buying all those
Yeah.
ranches in Montana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do have to have a lot of money. And if you don't have a lot of money to start up a ranch, you need to have an income while you're starting a ranch or a farm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
somebody needs to have a job and health insurance.
We've had a lot of requests to do episodes about the financial side of the ranch, and I think we've kind of figured out a way to do that, and without being too.
We like you guys, but
transparent.
we're not going to tell you how much money we have in the bank.
Yeah, I tell you, it does not have that many zeros behind it.
No.
So, yeah, I think we've kind of figured out a way to do that, so we can actually do an episode about, so you want to ranch kind of
Yeah.
thing, and go through it, the financials and how it would actually work, and then hopefully somehow make it interesting, because I don't want it to be like a math lesson and be like, if you've got an interest, if you've got a 10% interest or whatever, 2% or 5% or. I don't really want to mess with all that.
And that wasn't our situation. This is a family ranch, and my stepdad had it. So we didn't buy the ranch. So
Yeah.
we can help you guys along the way somewhere if you guys have questions and are interested in getting ranching. But that was not the path that we took to get where we're at.
Right.
So.
Spam is the chicken nugget of the pork industry.
Oh.
So there you go. How old are you? I think they're asking you. No, I'm just kidding. I actually have a birthday next week.
Yeah.
And I will be turning 42 next week. So, yeah.
I'm not that old.
She's not that old. She's younger than me. I was a little bit of a cradle robber. So.
I turned 35 in August.
Oh, you're going to tell?
Oh, that's fine.
You know, hell with it.
It
Yeah,
is what
that's
it
just,
is.
you know, it is what it is. Okay, so, and we've, how long have you guys been together? We knew each other for 2 years before we got married.
Yeah.
Pretty close. And we've been married for almost 10 now.
Yeah. Next summer will be 10 years that we've been married.
Yeah.
So.
So there you go. The moo call and any future cattle births. Remind me to go back about, because I just thought of something I don't like about ranching.
Okay.
But I'll answer this moo call question. I actually think I am going to end up using it again next year. It's kind of a cool thing. If you haven't seen the moo call episodes, basically what it is, it's this deal that you strap onto a cow's tail, and when the cow goes into labor, it sends you a text and says, hey, this cow is going to have a calf. It works amazingly well, really, for what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's insane how well it works. I wish it would tell you where the cow is. That would be very helpful. So I'm thinking next year we're trying to probably this year when the videos that we made, we put it on a tame cow, Bambi, and she was in a corral during a storm when she had her calf. So it was all very controlled when we did it. That's one of the issues that I can see with using the device is that you do have to get it on the cow, and if you've got a wild cow out in the pasture or something like that, there's no way you're going to do that. So you have to be able to bring them in and get it fixed up. So yes, long story short, yes, we are going to end up using the moo call again. How? I'm not exactly sure, but if you have any suggestions, I'm open to them as well. So that's one thing. The other thing that you have to think about too with the moo call is you can't just put it on a cow and just let them go for a month. You have to actually take it off, or else you're going to cut off circulation. It's going to rub hair off, that kind of thing. So, how much is your life insurance policy? I don't think, unless Aaron's taken one out, I don't think I have a life insurance policy. So, how much 401k? That's the same question. How much stock? Same question. Land rich, cash poor. Yeah, that's kind of how it works. So, happy birthday. Yeah, well, we'll get a chance to celebrate my birthday next week, so that'll be fun. So if you're asking the question, how many cows we have, I've seen that pop up a couple times. We run right around 150, between 150 to 170 cows usually. This coming week, we're actually going to be preg checking, and we'll be getting rid of some cows as well. So it's kind of a back and forth thing depending on the age of the herd. You're always trying to bring in new cows, that kind of thing. So we always try to get rid of the old cows. There's cows that have health issues and that kind of thing that you can't keep around anymore. So your favorite animal on the ranch? Actually, my favorite animal right now is a little tiny black cat that Grace named Flower. It's a barn cat. It's probably a couple months old. And for some reason, it has really attached itself to me and will jump in my lap. It's kind of a weird deal for a barn cat because usually they're not friendly at all. But right now, that's my favorite animal. We do have, of course, our pet cows. We have Bambi. We have 80. We have Blonde Cow. She's one of our pet cows. There's Butt Stain. So, so there's all those. But we have many favorite animals here on the ranch. In fact, the peacock, he's probably Aaron's favorite, and we just had to save him because we found him. He had gotten both feet wrapped up with twine or some sort of string or something. So he was a mess. He actually is still limping a little bit. I think it cut off a bunch of circulation in his foot. So he ended up. Come here, Lincoln. This is Lincoln. He finally made it over here. So hopefully he's going to be okay. He's still limping around a little bit. So when you talk about favorite animals, pretty much all of them. What's your favorite animal? You're not going to tell me. And do I get a new Baylor Jack for my birthday? You know what? I didn't even ask for that. That's probably a good idea. They do make GPS for cows. I've seen it somewhere that you could actually put a collar on a cow. It's probably really expensive and probably not worth it. So. I actually own a Ford F350 that I use for most of my ranch work, and I like it. It's a gasser, so it's not as great of a truck, but I would definitely suggest a diesel if you're looking for pulling and that kind of thing. But that's going to be my next thing when we do end up getting rid of this truck. We'll end up getting a diesel. So, what, Lincoln?
Ma.
You want to say hi?
Ma.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Ma.
Have you people eaten dinner yet? The kids have eaten dinner. We have not. So we'll get there eventually, though.
Dad.
Yeah. I actually just, like it usually works for me when we do these live streams, is I end up coming in from working and just throwing everything together, and hopefully everything works, and we can get right to it. So,
Dad.
are you going to do a straw hat giveaway? You know, I was actually thinking about it. I think what my plan is with the straw hat, because usually I go from the felt hat to the straw hat, and then
Dad.
so my plan is that I think in the spring when I switch to a straw hat, I think I'll end up doing a straw hat giveaway then, is kind of my plan. Daniel said hi to you, Lincoln. He doesn't care now. Now he's on to something else. Yeah, okay. So, do I have a CDL? No, I actually don't. And my neighbor right down the road has a truck driving business, and he reminds me about every other day that I don't have a CDL and I should have one. So, maybe something that will get going in the near future. So, hey Aaron.
Hey, what?
Can you grab? Okay, he was trying to unplug stuff. Okay, did you get your crisis taken care of?
Grace has a stomachache and Grace threw up all over the couch.
Oh, great. So kids throwing up. Isn't this fun? I'm just going to scoot back over here to the middle then, because I don't know if Aaron's going to be back. So, one of we were talking about things that we love and hate about ranching, and the thing that actually drives me the most nuts about ranching is the fact that this is the cattle market itself. You have, as a producer, I have no control over how much a cow or a calf is worth. And not only do I not have control, I also don't have the ability to say, I'm not going to take that price. If we take our calves, which we've done every year since we've been here, we take our calves to auction. You get the price. That's what you get. You get what you get. Like Kenzie would say, you get what you get, you don't throw a fit, but I'm going to throw a fit. So you take what they give you, and you really don't have any choice in that. Now, there are people that do sell to private buyers, so that's one of the things that does give you a little bit of leeway, because then you can kind of dicker with them a little bit, but the cattle market drives me insane. 1 week to the next can differ by as much, as a couple $100 per calf. So it's insane how much it changes. So that's that. I'm going to move back into some questions here while Aaron's cleaning up vomit. Winter projects. What are our winter projects going to consist of? That's a darn good question too. I've got a ton of pipe, 2 3/8 inch pipe that we got given to us from the state after they pulled out a bunch of methane wells. We ended up getting all this pipe. So we're going to come up with some stuff for that. If you've seen some of our past videos, we did build that ATV or gator ramp that goes through the fence. We built that out of that pipe. I'd like to find some more projects like that to build with that pipe as well. So if you have any ideas, shoot them out. I think one of my ideas that I have, and I think we can probably get it done this winter, is the bull pasture, reinforcing some fence out there with that heavy duty pipe, as well as building kind of a sally port as you go into the bull pasture. There's one single gate going into the bull pasture. So if you're going in to feed the bulls, you have to make sure the bulls are away from you when you're going in to feed, or else they could sneak out that gate. What I'm thinking about doing is building an additional corral there. That way you could pull in with the tractor, close the gate behind you, then open the gate in front of you, drive in without any fear of losing bulls. Our bulls are actually right on the highway. It wouldn't be the first time we've had bulls on the highway, but it's definitely one of those things that you want to avoid. So I think that's one of the projects, one of the bigger projects. I don't know if it's going to be that big, maybe a couple days worth of work, but that's one of the projects that I have going on. A lot of people have said we could build cattle guards out of that. That's another option. Our hay actually ended up getting trucked up from Torrington, which is hey, you're back.
I'm back.
A couple hundred miles south of us. Isn't that Torrington? Yeah, 238 miles or something like that. So that's where most of our hay ended up getting I've just been answering questions, and I did talk about the cattle market if you didn't hear me.
Yeah, I did hear you.
I hate the cattle market.
Grace got sick. She told me after dinner that she had a stomachache, and I had this horrible thought in my mind of I hope she doesn't get sick when we're doing video. And she did. And I'm
Nice.
canning salsa, so I had to take salsa out of the canner. So.
Never a dull moment. It's,
No.
Like we were talking, like when we decide to do these things, we schedule them at 7:00 Mountain Time. Now with it getting dark so much earlier, we're still out working, and then that's the thing. We come in, we throw everything together. Erin is still canning.
I'm still doing salsa.
We're still parenting, so that always,
That dang parenting.
that
man.
dang parenting thing always.
I almost threw up right with her too.
Did you really? The kids puking thing, man, that really gets me. As soon as the kids puke, man, it's like I'm right there with them. So never a dull moment with 3 kids. You're right.
No.
Sheep and goats on the ranch. This could be another thing I hate about the ranching. That we had sheep actually.
sheep.
When Gilbert, Aaron's stepdad, was alive, he loved sheep,
He loved
and
sheep.
actually he loved baby lambs.
They're
And
cute.
They are cute, and sheep usually have twins, so you get double, kind of thing. So you get double the cuteness for one ugly sheep.
They
But
are.
they were such. I hated them. They're dumber than rocks. You can't really herd sheep. I mean, you kind of
It's
can.
hard.
You can't really get them on a trailer without you. Basically, I remember just grabbing sheep by the
That's
the
what you do.
fur and or the wool or whatever, so just throwing them in the trailer. So yeah, sheep probably not. Goats, no, that could be a different matter because Aaron's kind of interested in doing some milks and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I mean
so.
it's long-term goal of mine to introduce milk products into our farmers market lineup. That could be 10 years from now. There's quite a few goat producers in the area. There's not a lot of goat meat happening right now in our local food scene.
Have you ever eaten goat?
No.
I had when I went to the Sheriff Parnell when his son graduated a few years ago.
Yeah.
I went to his graduation party and they had goat.
I
And-
didn't eat it.
Were you there?
Yeah, I was there.
Okay, I couldn't remember if you were there or not.
No.
But yeah, they had goat. Aaron didn't eat it. I tried it. It wasn't horrible, but it's not something that I would be like, let's throw some goat on the barbecue.
No. I mean, so maybe goats. Goats, you have to fence those suckers because they like to climb and jump and stuff. So
You
we
said
just
suckers, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
So we don't really have an area for goats. I would definitely do goats before we would do sheep. Our buddy Nick though wants to get in the goat business for lawn mowing, and
Sheep? I thought he wanted sheep.
we wants goats.
Oh, for the lawn mowing deal where you take a trailer full of goats to somebody's house or something and drop them off their lawn and then they poop all over the lawn in exchange for eating the grass.
And I fully encourage that plan, and then I could go play with the goats because I do like goats. I think they're cute and funny, and we just have nowhere to put them.
We have lots of places to put
We
goats.
don't have a fenced area to.
You
put
need
the
and goats are ridiculous. There's a guy down the road that has goats, and those things. Well, used to. I don't know if he does anymore. Every day you drive
On the
by,
highway.
and they were on the highway. They would figure out how to get out. You have to basically put a lid on them, I think,
Yeah.
because they'll climb whatever. There's a place over in South Dakota that's that old McDonald's farm,
Yeah,
and they have
it's like a petting zoo.
yeah,
tourist
and they have this
attraction.
giant tree that goats like climb up in this tree.
Yeah.
So
They need entertainment.
yeah, exactly. So I totally had something else that drove me nuts about ranching, and I can't remember what it is. I feel like we're talking more about what we don't like than what we do like.
Okay, so what do we like?
I don't know. I'll come up with something. Okay.
I'll talk about something I like. I like the big open spaces.
Yeah.
I went to Portland this summer, and we'd been to Oregon, Mike and I, when I was pregnant with Mackenzie, so long time ago. But like places where you go and there's lots of trees. Like I would love more trees, but at the same time, like it makes me feel very closed in, and I like to see the sky, and I like to see the horizon, and we can see storms coming from miles away.
Yeah. I've got a friend of mine that lives in New Jersey, and I sent him just a picture. I think I just went out the door and took a picture, and he said, "Oh my, you can see the sky. Isn't that crazy that you can see the sky?" And if you live in New Jersey or New York or anywhere else, you see, the sliver of in between buildings, I
Yeah.
guess. I mean,
Yeah, and we just don't have trees to block the horizon. I mean,
Yeah.
we have some hills.
it does
but-
freak me out. I've got, like Aaron said, we've got family in Oregon, and we went out and visited, and the speed limit everywhere is like 45
Yeah.
because you can only see like 8 feet in front of you. Because if the road turns even a little bit, you can't see a darn thing.
Did the camera just turn off?
I don't know if the camera just turned off or not. Maybe it did. I think think it did. Hold on, guys. I'm trying to get this fixed. Working on it. Bear with me. See, I told you Lincoln unplugged something. He unplugged the camera. Bear with me for 1 second here. I'll get this up and going.
Did we totally lose it?
No, they can still hear us, by the way.
Okay.
We just don't have a camera. Bear with me here. Hey, there we go. Okay, so we're back up and running. Just somebody give me a quick shout out and just let me know that that camera is working, because it seems to be working on my end, but stranger things have happened on other ends. So if somebody could just tell me that they can see us, we would be very appreciative of that. Okay, so Lincoln had unplugged the camera, and as soon as the battery died, it was done.
Oh,
So,
sorry.
okay, so sorry about that, guys. That's totally we'll blame Lincoln.
Someday we'll have a live stream with no technical difficulties.
Never, probably.
Never.
I wouldn't doubt it. Baby peacocks. Do you have any plan for baby peacocks?
I can't really do much about it. I mean, she did lay a nest this year, but it was right before branding time. She had 4 eggs. They usually lay like 8 to 12 or something, I think is what we looked up. But it was in a corral where we had to bring cows into. We tried to fence it off. She abandoned the nest though, but to me that was a good sign. They do like each other. They hang out together all the time. I really hope that we have baby peacocks. He's getting older.
The peacock?
Yeah. We don't know how old he is because we actually got him from the animal shelter. He'd gotten picked up wandering on the highway, so I hope we have some babies. But they can live for quite a few years, peacocks can. So chickens, live a few years, but peacocks and geese live much longer. So yes, I would hope that we would have some babies. I would love baby peacocks. It's like my dream.
Right.
And swans. I really, really want some black swans, but those are expensive.
They're really expensive, aren't they?
Yeah. And a fox would probably eat them.
In about a minute. Yeah. I don't even know how much they cost, but they're really expensive.
Yeah.
So.
Very expensive. So, what else do we have?
Okay. Bulls. Yeah, our bulls are actually kept across the highway, like we were talking about. We actually have to buy a new bull this year because we just sold a bull that was limping. He had gotten into a fight with another bull and kind of messed up his hip or something. I'm not sure what exactly he screwed up. So he went away. So
He was old.
He was older. He was like 6 or 7.
And in bull years, that's old. Yeah, we get a new bull not every year, but I would say we get a new bull more years than we don't get a new bull.
Yeah.
They get hurt, and when we keep back heifers to replenish our herd, then you have to buy a heifer bull, a bull that is compatible with their weight size and stuff. So you can't put a mature bull on a heifer because it'll crush her. That's just the reality of it. It will. So, and that's generally how we keep our bull herd healthy and stuff. Is that every couple of years we keep back replacement heifers, and so a new bull has to come along with it, and then the bulls that are limping are getting older, then get retired.
Yeah, that's a nice way.
I have to go help Grace. I hear her.
Okay. Hopefully it's not more vomiting. You could always bring the camera in. Take a look. So the bulls, we'll be getting a new bull this year. Let's see here. I think the best part of being able to about ranching is raising a kid in the country and getting value a good day's work. I totally agree with that. We try to get the kids out as much as we can. Obviously with school, that kind of thing, it doesn't work as well, especially now with daylight savings time, which is another thing that's driving me nuts. If you are one of our Patreon supporters, you've caught me on there ranting and raving about daylight savings time and getting dark at 4:30, and just kind of puts a big old dent in my day. So we end up after school, the kids aren't so much as able to get out and do stuff. Kenzie doesn't even get home until about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So weekends we do. Weekends we try to get them out as much as possible. They've gotten into the habit where they're getting eggs from the chicken house. I'm not trusting them to wash eggs yet, but they are getting eggs, and we end up just doing little chores around, filling up waters, that kind of thing, as much as they're able to do. So, yeah, I definitely agree with you that the kids are very important, and it's good that they're out here. And for me, when I grew up in Montana. I grew up in town, but I do remember living out of town at times, and those are the times that I remember more than anything is the times that we actually lived out of town, and you had some room to roam, and you could go out and get in trouble, or the neighbor had chickens and they had a rooster that chased you, that kind of thing. Then those are the things I remember. I don't remember learning how to ride my bike in a trailer park, so. That's the kind of thing that I think with our kids that there's so many memories that they can make out here, and I think that's very important. So, yes, camera's working. 30-second delay from when we send a message. I've noticed that there is a delay from when you guys send a message to when I see it. So, and I guess that's just a YouTube thing. Matt says that he made a steak using Erin's recipe. If you haven't tried Erin's recipe, by the way, for her steak, here's something that I love about working on the ranch. And having a ranch and being able to raise your own beef is to be able to finish beef the way that you like it. I am totally spoiled if I go to a restaurant. If we go to a restaurant, which really doesn't happen that often, but if we do go to a restaurant, I can't order a steak off the menu. I just know, like deep down in my heart, that I'm just going to be disappointed. So, raising our own beef, exactly what goes into it. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, there's a video out there where Erin shows you how to cook a rancher's steak. That's what I call it anyway, and it's probably the best steak that I've ever had. And she's not even here, so I'm not even saying that because she's standing around the corner listening to me. It's probably the best steak that I've ever had. So let's see. Around what age do you separate a bull from the cows? We don't raise our own bulls. So, a bull is ready to breed, at a year. So I'm guessing bulls have to be separated really, probably right when you wean them would be my guess, that you get them out. We don't raise our own bulls. We actually buy bulls from people that do raise bulls, and we buy registered bulls. Our cattle aren't registered, but we figure if we buy registered bulls, we'll be able to get better stock that way. So we end up buying registered bulls, and from somebody who knows what they're doing when it comes to raising bulls. So you could take the eggs. Let's see here. How many acres is your ranch? We usually just kind of give a generalization. I don't say 7,362 acres. It's right around 5,000 acres is the size of the ranch. It's big enough to keep me busy. It's big enough to produce the hay that I need to run 160 some odd cattle, and for them to graze as well. So we get them out. There's lots of space out there. The problem with Wyoming is that you need that much land to run cattle. I'm sure that in areas that you guys are in, there's some places that I've seen where you can run 5 or 6 cows on an acre, and there's enough grass. Up here, definitely not. So, do we ride the horses? Not as much as I like. I don't get to get out and ride them as much as I want. And that's just a time thing. The time when I do have to ride them is in the wintertime, and then I'm out riding in the snow. The horse can be warm, but they're not that warm. Hi, you're back.
I'm back.
Any more vomit?
No.
It's so nice, isn't it? We just invite you into our homes, and then we tell you that our kid is puke. Yeah, at least she didn't do it like right here, because she was just here not too long ago. Could you imagine if she would have puked on the butt? That would have went viral. Done. 5 million subscribers for a puking kid.
Sorry, guys.
anyway, we were talking about the ability to raise your own beef and how that's a good thing.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
and know exactly. But this is kind of Aaron's department, because when you talk about raising food and food that's in the grocery store, food that you don't know where it came from or what it
Yeah.
is. So I'm gonna let you talk for a second while I sort through some of these comments.
Okay. So the big thing with ours is that with our beef and the pork that we raise is there's no hormones and no antibiotics. So in a commercial feedlot type situation, they're given hormones to help them grow faster. The faster they can push those animals through, and the faster their turnaround is, the more money they're making. And they do preventative antibiotics whether the animal is sick or not. So it's mixed into their feed. So almost every time they're getting fed, they're getting a low dose of antibiotics. So there, can be a lot of buildup of antibiotics, and how much that transfers into the meat. I mean, you'll find conflicting information about that, but it's not something that we do. There's no growth hormones that goes into any of our meat. They take how long they take. And that's really based on how much food that they're eating every day. And so we gradually increase their grain ration to help them put on that weight towards the end, so it goes faster and faster. But it's going to take time. And then no antibiotics. And just like if we had a steer that got sick and we had to do antibiotics for it, we would most likely not butcher that and sell it to our customers.
No, and there is there's a withdrawal period of that. But
there's safe ways to do it, and as long as you follow that withdrawal period, they say they're good and stuff. But in all honesty, I probably wouldn't do it. In fact, like when we have a sick calf and Mike has to give it antibiotics to save its life, we're not against antibiotics to save lives. I'm against antibiotics being part of their daily food ration. We make sure that steer, especially if it's a steer that's given an antibiotic when it's first born or after it's born, we don't keep that steer back to grain it.
Yeah.
So.
Did you ever come up with a name for your fans? So about a month, actually right after I got back from Cincinnati, one of the things we talked about in Cincinnati was building a community of subscribers, people that are interested in the same thing that you're interested in. And then one of the other things they talked about was naming your community.
Yeah.
So I came back with this idea, because there's people out there that they bros or I don't know. So we came up with this idea to try to name our community. But I did feel like a total ass coming in and going, I'm going to call you guys this. I thought that was weird. I'd rather have the community names themselves.
I think one that was suggested was Neighbors.
Neighbor, and I've kind of tried to work that in a little bit. Lifers was another one, which I thought was really kind of, lockup oriented.
Jail
Lifer,
oriented.
Yeah, jail oriented. They did say our Wyoming Lifers. I kind of like the Lifers thing, but it kind of sounds like, like you're trapped somewhere. So, long story short.
We haven't decided.
We haven't done it yet, no. And we're just kind of leaving it up to you guys. If you guys start using your own name or coming up with something, that's fine.
Somebody, when they first subscribed, they commented that they joined the herd. And
yeah, I thought that was interesting.
that was interesting, but, whatever you guys want to be called, I guess. So.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Comment below.
Comment below, yes, if you would like to be.
And name yourselves.
Name yourselves.
I like the Neighbors thing. I mean, Neighbors has kind of been what I would like to call everybody, but whatever you guys think.
Yeah, I guess we could do like a poll at some point.
Oh, we could.
And we could come up with, if people give us suggestions, then we can put those in a poll and then vote it on or something like that, I guess.
Yeah.
Might be worth doing. So, hey Grace, how you feeling?
Sunday, can we go to the blue park?
Yeah, we can go to the park one of these days.
Okay, go lay down, sweetie.
She gets sick and then she has demands.
She feels better.
She does feel better. Let's talk, how far, well, this question's popped up a couple. How far are you from the Nebraska state line? Torrington is like right on the line. That's 200 miles away. So I would say 200
I honestly
miles.
have never really been to Nebraska,
You've never
except
been to
for
Nebraska?
to go to someplace else. That's not a direction
That's
that
not
I
a
go.
very, that's not a very,
Do you go to Nebraska?
I've been to
You and I have
Nebraska.
never been to Nebraska together. So in 10 years, we have not been to Nebraska together.
no, maybe we should go to Nebraska.
Maybe we should go to a Cornhuskers game or something.
We could. Nick would go.
Go sports.
Go sports. So yeah, tell me more about cattle bloating.
That's an unfortunate situation when that happens.
Yeah, it is a horrible thing.
If you catch it early, you can fix it.
Yeah, bloating is actually caused by a cow eats a grass, an alfalfa, a legume, or it can really be caused by anything. And
A lot of things.
yeah, and if the cow has a chemical malfunction, basically is what it is, and it causes their stomach acids to start to froth up. So when it starts to froth up like that, the cow isn't able to get rid of those gases. And
It
those
can't
gases,
burp.
it can't burp,
Yeah.
basically, is what's going on.
Cows burp a lot.
So it just builds up and builds up and builds up. Now, there is way when you do catch it, and the bad thing is it happens fast too. We had a cow that bloated right during calving season, and I still feel bad about this and Aaron says I shouldn't feel bad about this, but
It happens.
if I would have, so I go and check cows and I check them in a loop. If I would have went one way instead of the other way, I probably could have saved that calf, or that cow and the calf.
You probably could have at least saved the calf. The cow
Yeah.
might have been a goner, but we could have saved the calf.
Save the calf. So what I went the other way, of course, and it took me 20 minutes. So by the time I came around, found that cow, sliced her in half, got the calf out. We weren't able to save either one. So yeah, bloat can be a pain.
Yeah, we lost a steer one time that we were going to grain,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes they can just they can eat themselves to death almost, it seems like, and especially if and we weren't graining, but I mean that steer was in the corral and did something and bloated and died.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, you can fix it with medication. What's the thing you stick into them?
Well, there's
Stick a plug in them.
trocar, which you basically it's about that big around. It's about the size of maybe a dime, probably a little bit smaller than a dime, and you can shove that into their abdomen, and it's a hollow needle. You get it in there, you pull it out, and all that gas
Comes right back in your
horrible.
face.
Yeah, and that sucks too. So, hey, the giant hunter, Mr. Bob Doring, says that he's watching. That's
Hey,
awesome.
Bob.
Hey, Bob, if you're still there. What's your opinion on Holstein steer beef? I don't know.
It's just not in our world.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. It's so
We don't have Holsteins.
I don't know if I've ever. First of all, before I ever came to the ranch, I don't know if I ever had a steak and said, "What kind of cow is this?"
Yeah.
They had Black Angus restaurants. I remember those. I don't know if they're still around, but then you're figuring you're eating Black Angus. So yeah, really kind of one of those things that I've never really thought about.
Once we get into making milk for farmers market, maybe we'll have a Holstein bull calf, and we'll have to figure out what to do with it.
Yeah, and we could actually try that. We could compare. It. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just something that we've never. We don't raise Holsteins. We've never finished a Holstein steer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anybody who's done it, so I really know nothing about it. So.
Yeah. Do they make such thing as fly mask for cattle? They may. I wouldn't want to try to put it on a cow. For flies, we use fly bags, which have a dust in them that the cows get on them, and then that supposedly keeps the flies off. It doesn't work.
And we also put fly tags on the
And
calves.
we do put fly tags on the calves.
And we just, flies were bad this year. And, we felt bad. Our cows were bad. But then, the vet came out to check the heifers. And remember, Kyle said that our fly situation was not nearly as bad as other places he'd been this year.
Right.
So, flies, just like grasshoppers and mosquitoes and all the other things that we deal with, some years we have bad fly situations. And other years we don't really have much for flies. So, this year was a bad year. Just the weather and the moisture. I don't know anything about flies really, but it seems to be dependent on the moisture and the temperature.
Right. Somebody did comment too about bloat blocks. You can put out bloat
Yes.
blocks for cows, and then they eat it. It has medication in it that actually prevents them from bloating. The problem is, unless you keep bloat blocks out all the time.
And we put them out for the steers.
Right.
Because as we increase their grain and stuff, if one is a grain hog and eats more grain than it should be eating and stuff, then we can potentially have bloat problems with the steers. But
Right.
We don't really have to do it with the cows, but we don't have bloat very often. I mean, that's the first cow that we've had bloat since we've been here, except for a steer.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Yeah.
No, it's pretty rare.
The other thing about winters here, and somebody did comment on this, and I was going to talk about this when we were talking about the weather, is winter is very, very hard on the cows. The ice, cows slip, they fall, they break things, they twist ankles. So yeah, winter can be pretty hard on the cows, and we do have a situation occasionally where, come into spring, there's a cow that we end up having to get rid of because she did fall. We had one last year that fell on the ice and then couldn't get up because it was slippery. So she couldn't get up. She ended up messing herself up even worse trying to get up. I actually ended up taking the bobcat out and lifting her up and getting her up on her feet. And then once she was up, she was fine. But if she laid back down, she couldn't get back up. So she ended up having to go away just because there was nothing we could do with her at that point. And that's a calf that you lose. That's income for the ranch, and that's all due to ice, and that's just something we have to deal with all the time. So, continuing education. This should be something Aaron should be here for if we talk about continuing education. We definitely try to keep ourselves educated on what's going on in the industry, and we talk to our senator. He actually wrote a very nice article about our YouTube channel, which is pretty cool. If you look it up, Senator NZ and Our Wyoming Life, I think, or something like that. He wrote a very nice article about this channel. But not only that, but it's very important to stay up on the legislative decisions and stuff like that do affect our industry. As for continuing education, Aaron's actually going tomorrow to
I'm going to a soil health workshop. Gabe Brown from around the Bismarck area is going to do a presentation about soil health. I actually am not staying for the whole day. I'm just going to go for the morning for the Q&A session. I have other commitments in the afternoon. But he talks about soil health and diversification of ranches and farms, and soil health and how it affects your herd. So unfortunately I can't stay for the whole day. It sounds like it's going to be super interesting and really educational. But I do tons of gardening continuing ed. And that's because I am a master gardener, and part of the benefit of being a master gardener is that you get to receive free continuing ed if you have a healthy program that can support that. So our program is really great about giving back to our volunteers through continuing ed. So I went to Portland and did 3 days of continuing ed. We did a GAP class this spring.
Oh yeah, how to wash your hands.
Good agricultural practices.
Yep.
How to be safe in the field with harvesting, and how to handle manure, and yes, how to wash your hands. So,
yeah.
And how to harvest safely and sanitize and all kinds of stuff. So
the extension office here also offers rangeland management classes, which I've been to 2 or 3 times. We actually had the University of Wyoming here, not the whole university, but we had a class from the University of Wyoming that came here to the ranch and did rangeland management classes here on the ranch, and that was kind of cool to be a part of that and be able to hang out with the future of ranching, and as they learn about grassland management and stuff like that.
Well, and next Tuesday we are doing Ag Career Day. Local high school students are coming to our community college, and there's going to be several different people from different industries within agriculture, so Forest Service and Conservation District and NRCS, and there's going to be agricultural producers, and we're going to be there talking about diversification of ranch, and just showing the whole idea is to get high school students excited about careers in agriculture, and also show them the wide range of different agriculture careers that there are out there, because it's not just taking care of cows.
Yeah.
So
that'll be interesting to take what we're doing on YouTube as well as what we're doing out here, and the education factor of it and all that kind of stuff might be interesting. I don't know.
They're high school kids, so we'll see what they ask.
Yeah, who knows what they're gonna say. So the other thing, one of the other things I love about being on the ranch, and this is a relatively new thing, is you guys being able to do this. This is something that when we first came to the ranch, I've said this many times, but I wish we would have been filming the minute we got here.
God, it would have been a disaster.
Because it was horrible.
There's so many things that we did that I was like, we were such idiots.
Well, and the bad thing is we didn't really have any guidance. There was kind of this whole Gilbert was a long-time rancher and just an ornery old fart, and he had this kind of sit back and say, let's see if they can figure it out kind of thing. I think there was a lot of that. So if there would have been a camera rolling, but now as when we move up to now, that's one of the cool things that I like about being here and being able to expose other people to what we're doing and why. I mean, that's kind of the big thing. I can go watch somebody plant corn, but unless you tell me why you're doing it, then it doesn't really matter.
The thing is that there's so many. Everything we do on the ranch has 20 different situations that factor into that decision that you go do right then. And it's, and that's what we want to talk about, is the why and the reason behind, and what has happened before this to cause this to happen, and what we want to happen because of this decision here and stuff. So you know, even in the garden and stuff, sometimes I'm just like, I don't know what to do. Like, you know, especially when it's like spring and it's planting season, I look at the forecast and I think I should have stuff in the ground, but no, the weather's going to be bad, but maybe I could pull it off. I mean, it's just, it circles around my brain and sometimes I can't make a decision, but that's what we want to share with you guys. And, you know, it's just, there's kind of a stigma sometimes that agriculture people are dumb and you don't even have to go to college to run a ranch.
Yeah.
And there's about 15 different hats you have to wear.
You know, one of the best comments that I ever got on a video was after calf number 1, when Gunther was brought in, and we had to do just a, you know, he was premature, he weighed 40 pounds, his lungs weren't developed, and we just went through the whole schmear with him. And somebody commented that, you know, basically what you just said, like, you know, these guys aren't stupid. You know, we have to learn about what we're doing and how to do it, and you know, and go back 8-9 years. I don't know if I could have done that for Gunther. I probably would have killed him in the process of trying to save him, and I think I probably did that with a few cows, because you know, I just really didn't have the knowledge behind me.
We didn't use nearly the medications that we do. We just didn't have that knowledge behind us or the experiences behind us. So now that, I mean, and we're still going to screw up.
I screw up every day. I left the trailer jack on the baler when I pulled it away and left a nice big trench in the ground and didn't break the baler, but broke the jack. You know, the screw ups happen.
I mean, it's funny when people tell me that, you know, they're afraid to garden because they're afraid to kill plants. I have probably killed more plants than I have successfully, raised till harvest.
Like, right. Erin's like a serial plant killer. You know, we have killed a lot of plants.
I have killed a lot of plants. I have planted a lot of plants with good intentions, and then they don't get watered, or, you know, just stuff happens. You know, in the spring, the wind can blow 40 miles an hour, and all my nice, beautiful transplants that I put out are dead. You know, and seeding, you know, I've had stuff come up and then it gets flooded and it gets washed away or it gets cold. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had to reseed the garden. It just happens.
Yeah. So I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
Really quick, cows and abscesses. I wanted to talk about this because when we do preg check, we're going to be culling cows and abscesses happen. We call them lump jaw. They call it bony jaw sometimes. There's a bunch of different names for it. Basically, and you might even see it if you go back and look in videos and you're really looking. You're going to see a cow with basically a big lump on its jaw, and that's caused usually from some sort of feed or a piece of hay or something or other that's gotten stuck in a tooth.
Thanks, Lincoln.
And then causes an abscess and pus and nastiness. And we're going to see that when we preg check, and we're going to be up close with it because we've got 3 or 4 cows out there that do have it. And the vet, Kyle, that we have come out, we're going to use him as a resource to be able to say, do we lance this? Do we try to save the cow? Do we sell the cow?
Yeah, there's certain ones that you can try and fix and help the cow, and then there's other ones that it's just not gonna. There's nothing you can do for it.
Right.
The bony, hard lump jaws. There's no going back from that.
Yeah, the bone actually, if you take their skull, the bone actually grows out. It's incredible. How many pigs do you have? Right now we have 7.
7 or 8. I don't remember.
7, I think. 7 pigs. They're being fattened on pumpkins and tomatoes and everything else that's left over in the garden.
Yeah, it's still cleanup time in the garden. So, I made salsa today, and the stuff that hasn't turned green by now or is, just was not good enough to can, they're going to eat a lot of tomatoes. Same thing with pumpkins. We went and got a huge load of pumpkins. If you like us on Facebook, there's a trailer load of pumpkins that we went to South Dakota and got from a friend of mine, and they're eating that. And then I also have had some pie pumpkins that had a little bit of frost damage, so they also got a bucket of pie pumpkins today too. So
Definitely.
They are going to be pumpkin spiced and delicious.
Benefits to working cows on an ATV. This is going to be our last one. Benefits to working the cows on an ATV versus horseback. Obviously, you don't have to saddle a
It's
four-wheeler.
super fast to get on a four-wheeler and go take care of a cow problem.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a problem, you got to do it, and sometimes that's just the easiest way to do it. The other issue that we have is that the way the ranch is laid out, we could start with cows that are 5 or 6 miles away, and if you're using horses, you have to trailer the horses down there. Hurry up, because we're gonna wrap this up, and you got to come back for your closing remarks thing. But if you have to trailer these guys all the way down, and then ride them back. You can't ride them either way, you'd have some tired horses. So ATVs, you know what? I've kind of gotten in the habit of just jumping on a four-wheeler and going. Here's a thought, beef jerky available on Amazon. Can you do that?
Yes, we can do beef jerky available on Amazon. We don't make beef jerky actually out of ours. All of our meat gets processed at a USDA inspected facility, so then it is available for interstate commerce. So it can be sold across state lines.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Salsa though cannot.
Why?
Uninspected home produced item.
Gotcha.
So.
Gotcha.
So yeah, maybe we'll look into the jerky thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Good idea.
We'll see.
We do have T-shirts available on Amazon. So you can always check out our T-shirts on Amazon if you'd like, and you can order them from there as well. This is not working at all. Just talk about something for a second.
So I can talk about food freedom. Wyoming is lucky enough to have the Wyoming Food Freedom Act, and it allows for the sale of home-produced items directly to the informed end consumer who knows that they're not inspected, regulated, or licensed. So that's really great, and but we cannot sell. I can sell salsa in-state at farmers markets. I cannot sell salsa across state lines. If you come here and buy it from me and take it across state lines, that is totally fine. But I cannot put salsa on the internet. But all of our beef and pork is USDA inspected and therefore can be sold. I could sell it on the internet. Not a problem. What else?
What else?
You can also sell things like raw milk, cheeses. None of that has to be inspected in Wyoming. If you're going to sell it to a restaurant or a retail store, then it would have to be inspected. Hey, we're back.
No, we're not.
No, we're not back. I got excited.
How come this happens right at the end?
So Wyoming was the first really, and we have the
Hey, there we go.
Wyoming Food Freedom Act was kind of the first one in the country, and it's the most. I don't know. I would say it's the most progressive in the country. There are a few states. North Dakota passed a similar act this year. Maine is doing some stuff. Basically, states are finally getting on board that people want to buy home-produced items like pickles and salsa and stuff from farmers and can have that direct purchasability, and not everything needs to be inspected and regulated to death. So hopefully more states do the food freedom thing. It's really changed. It's kind of a rabbit hole, and from the market manager side of me, I hate it. We've had it for 3 or 4 years, and there's still stuff that comes up like, can you cut a squash in half and sell it at farmer's market, or is that a USDA regulation? And no, you can't do that. So there's a lot of stuff that came into it that we didn't know about when we got food freedom. I'm going to take care of Grace. Thank you guys for being with us tonight. I had a great time. It was awesome.
Erin's like splitting. All right, let me move back over here to the middle, and I'll just address a couple of really quick questions. Hi, Kenzie.
There you go.
Oh, we're not going to use that today, sweetie. So, yeah, back to Lumpjaw. Arvad said the cows, to sell the cows. I mean, that's pretty much what they tell us too, but it'll definitely bring down the price. So, Bang's disease, we vaccinate all our cows for brucellosis. It's bad if it happens. It's better just to be on the safe side. So, other than that, I'm going to say that that's pretty much it. We're over an hour, and Erin actually said we need to make it shorter tonight, which we did not. This is actually our longest one so far. But I want to thank you guys all for hanging out with us. We've seen a huge bump here lately. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we're up to over 6,000 subscribers, which is just amazing to us. And we're not slowing down, which is really cool. Things are happening. Cool things are coming up. You might see us in a couple magazines here coming up before too long, and we'll let you know about that when that happens. You might even see us on TV. You never know. So we've got that going on. If you'd like to support us through Patreon, you're more than welcome, and we would thank you for doing that. There's no way that we would say that you have to do it, but we definitely appreciate those people that are supporting us through Patreon. And heading to Amazon, buying our T-shirts, all that kind of cool stuff. I mean, it all keeps us doing what we're doing, because it's definitely interesting. This weekend we've got some good stuff coming up. Just between you, me, and the fence post, This weekend's episode is all about filming on the ranch and how we do that, and how kind of a behind the scenes almost, and how big of a pain that it can be, but it's all worth it because we definitely get to connect with you guys. So I'm going to say goodnight. I thank everybody that came in and checked in with us. I love all the questions. I'm sorry we didn't get to all of them, but we will be going back through. Of course, as you know, we're just gluttons for punishment, so if you do comment, we answer comments as well. I think we have not, in 9 months, we have not missed one single comment. So I appreciate you guys being with us. Have a great night, and we'll see you Sunday morning on Our Wyoming Life.